Hi, this video is going to talk about subjects and predicates, and these things are parts of sentences. Unlike nouns and verbs and adjectives and adverbs, which are parts of speech, subjects and predicates are specifically parts of sentences, and so we need to be on the lookout for them while we're reading. To help explain what they are, we can say, as if we're watching a play, that subjects are like actors and predicates are like stage directions, in that every sentence tells a very short story. There's a noun usually up in the front, and then a verb that acts, and that noun acts on that verb to some result. And we're just going to go through some examples of that phenomenon here. Let's look at our first sentence. Ken and Fred went to school. I actually put a sneaky one first. But if you look at it for a minute, first thing you want to do is identify the verb. That helps give you a pretty clear line of delineation here. So in this sentence, what's the verb going to be? If you said went, you're absolutely correct. And so now we can ask ourselves, well, who went somewhere? Well, looks like Ken and Fred went somewhere. Directly, not always directly to the left, but often directly to the left of your verb is going to be your subject here. And we happen to have a compound subject. Compound subject, and that means that we actually have more than one noun in there. We have two, Ken and Fred. So we know that Ken and Fred went. And where they go, though, they went to school. And this is where we can talk here. Just the verb by itself, without any embellishment, is called a simple predicate. Simple predicate. It's just a just one little connection, and it gives you the very basic information of a sentence. So we know that basically our sentence, Ken and Fred went. Now we know where they went. They in fact went. They went to school. But to school is additional information. So we'll talk about that here in a minute. So we have a compound subject, Ken and Fred, simple predicate went, and then this whole green part went to school. All combined is the complete predicate. Bring that back over. That's a complete predicate. The entire group of words put together is the complete predicate. So we're going to go through some more examples here. Let me get my highlighter again. We need to look back more than a year ago. Go down here. We need to look back more than a year ago. This is from a newspaper, from today's newspaper, in fact. So let's kind of follow the same strategy and begin by looking for the verb. Tell me if you said need, you're correct. That's the root verb here. It's followed by look, which is also a verb, but this to look is actually kind of functions like a prepositional phrase, but we won't worry about that now. So need is our simple predicate. I'll use blue. That's the simple predicate. So what's the subject going to be? Who needs to do something? Well, in this case, it's we. We need to do something. So if we took just that part by itself, just we need, that is a grammatically complete sentence. Everything else is just kind of extra information. Of course, that extra information is what makes us able to communicate. So we have a purple subject, green predicate. Try again. This one's a little more complex. Again, this is also from today's newspaper. He refused to cancel the protest set for Saturday at his Dove World Outreach Center. Again, we have a very similar situation to the last one, actually, where we have a couple verbs near each other. But see if you can identify the main verb. And if you said refused, you are correct. And so we know that to the left of our verb is where we usually find our subject. In that case, it's he. So here we have our subject and our simple predicate, refused. Well, what did he refuse? He refused to cancel. To cancel what? The protest. Which protest? The one that was set for Saturday. Where was it? At his Dove World Outreach Center. All of this stuff over here, the rest of the predicate, is just basically extra information that comes in handy, of course, for communication. But when you're just trying to figure things out, you know that you have your subject, simple predicate, and then everything else, for the most part. And here, we're going to get a little bit tricky. BioWorks Foundation officials said they want to develop a Hyatt Summerfield Suites and extended stay hotel. Now this one we have a few sneaky elements, but let's see if we can identify the subject and predicate. And let's start by identifying the first verb we really see. And that's going to be said. Past tense of say. Well, who said something? So someone said something. Who said something? And if you said officials, you're correct. So you might be seeing a pattern here that the subject, simple subject and simple predicate are near each other. Excuse me. Now we can see that we have officials, but there's still stuff over here, this BioWorks Foundation. These two words tell which officials. So they're still part of the subject. They're still part of our subject, but they're not the root of our subject. This, get that down here. This here, this word officials, is still our basic subject. So we call that the simple subject. Even though this whole purple phrase is our subject, the word officials is our simple subject, just like said is our simple predicate. And, wrong color. And I mean, even though this whole green part is our predicate, we know that said is our simple predicate. Now we have this minute here. BioWorks Foundation officials said they want to develop a Hyatt Summerfield Suites and extended stay hotel. This is just kind of like some extra information. But what we have here is then a positive. We could completely remove this part of the sentence, the an extended stay hotel, and still have something grammatically correct. But that little part functions to give extra information about the word suites. And this part, the root is hotel, which is a noun. So we have a noun describing a noun, which is a positive phrase. Just a little touch on that now. Don't worry too much about it. All right. In New York City, the average June-August temperature in Central Park was 77.8 degrees, which beat the previous record of 77.3 degrees in 1966. This is a very complex sentence. So take a minute and see if you can identify the verb. And if you said was, you're correct. You're very correct. Now, see if you can identify the main or the simple subject. And it's not park, even though park is right next to the verb. So if you said park, try again. If you said temperature, you are correct. So in this sentence, our simple predicate, or simple subject is temperature, and our simple predicate is was. So we know that temperature was. Everything else is extra. This whole bit is our subject, of course, but temperature is still our simple subject. And just in that same vein, all of this is our predicate, but was is our simple predicate. Okay, let's move on. High school reunions can be a festival of embellishment. This is from an article about lying. See if you can find the verb. It's can, but we can actually say that it can be. This is an example of a modal verb. Can is a modal verb, and you could also say must or should or will. And all those verbs kind of change the tenacity of the main verb, which here is be. But there's no extra. And can you identify the simple subject? You said reunions, you are correct. And then we have what kind of reunions? High school reunions. But we know that reunions is still our simple subject. And can be is our simple predicate, but they can be these festivals of embellishment. And here we go. Now this is where we're touching into some much more complicated stuff. Truth still outweighs deceit in the marketplace of ideas, and many lies can still be punished. This one is actually a compound sentence. Shouldn't just say compound, should say compound sentence. Because we have two sentences smushed together. We have a conjunction and. Shouldn't want that, I want that orange. The word and actually connects two sentences. Truth still outweighs deceit in the marketplace, and many lies can still be punished. Each one of these is a perfectly good sentence. So we have two subjects and two predicates. So let's start by looking for our verbs. First one, outweighs. Second one, can, and just like before, be. Those two are connected. Still is an adverb. It just kind of stuck in there. It's just the same way it's still stuck over there. How about our subjects? In the first sentence, it's truth. And our second, lies. Lies can be. Truth outweighs, lies can be. And they're smushed together with a conjunction, so we have a compound sentence. Alright, that's it for our subjects and predicates. Thank you.